Welcome to Championship Culture. Coaches, we have a treat for you tonight. We have Rick Stewart, legendary Rick Stewart. Rick has been a head football coach at 7 different schools. Get this, he lives in California and coaches in Pennsylvania. But Rick actually has had a huge impact on me years ago. I think it was on VHS tape, Coach. I think it was that long ago. I watched the worst to first video that you put out. And especially when you were talking about the camping trips, that really intrigued me. And it kind of got me, they didn't call it culture back then, but it got me going down this path. And I want you to talk about, we're going to go off script a little bit. I want you to talk about the worst to first, because you kind of updated and put it on Coachtube. So I want you to talk about that. And then I want you to make sure you talk about your Wings and Thing Clinic, which is coming up next week. And then we'll hit those questions that we always go through. So thank you so much for being on here, buddy. And talk about the worst to first stuff first.
Okay. Hey, let's back off on the legendary. I think my dog's the only one that thinks I'm a legend. You know what? I was telling Joe before we got on, guys, that, the only ring I have is a wedding ring. It's not like I've played college or won a bunch of state titles. I'm just a guy that was lucky enough to get hired at 4 really god awful programs. I think 0-24, 0-27, and lucky enough that I had a supportive administration. That's key. And lucky enough to surround yourself with good assistant coaches. And you had a bunch of kids sitting in front of you that were sick and tired of losing. That's important. And then we were able to turn all those around and get them in the playoffs. And then we went to Pennsylvania, same thing. I think they were 3-7 or 4-7 before I got out there, and we went 9-1 and 12-0. So I've been lucky enough to be part of this. I know I'm a contributor and probably some of the, obviously I was the head coach, so I can take some credit, but I can't take all the credit, because I was telling Coach that, heck, 2 jobs I got fired at. I mean, there was some jobs I get hired and they're ready to drink the Kool-Aid, but then I show up and the administrator's not supporting me, and the kids didn't want to turn it around, and there was no parent support, and I had coaches backstabbing me. So if you're not going to surround yourself, it's not like the formula is going to work everywhere. I mean, heck, I think both Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick have been, fired. And heck, Nick Saban, right, was absolutely crowned last night as the best coach ever. I think the Dolphins fired him. So, it's nobody can do it by themselves. And I'm a pretty strong Christian, and we know we can't do it without God and Jesus Christ. So all I'm doing now at this point in my life is because of the pistol wing tee. I've been flown all over the country and been at 90 high schools, and I've made lots of great friends and really successful at coaches. You just had one of my friends on before, Kenny Simpson. And so I've been able to, unlike most high school coaches, I've been able to travel and be in lots of states and meet lots of coaches. And then I had this experience of being a part of and witnessing and helping some programs get turned around. And so through those experiences, I've got this worst to first program that's on Coachtube right now. It's 13 courses. And is the screen sharing on, Coach? Can I show it to him?
Yes.
Or do you disable that?
No, you just hit share screen and you can show it.
I'm hitting it. There it goes. Okay. So I'm not going to take up a lot of your guys' time. So Coach Salas, help me out. Can they see the Coachtube page there?
Yep, we can see it.
So we've got these up, guys. I'm really proud of this. I'll be very honest with you. I'm not doing this to make money. I mean, I do have bills to pay, but I've got these courses up, a one-on-one coaching through Zoom, a 3-ring binder. We've got these courses up, and I really wanted to make something where I could give back to the coach. I was telling Coach, so I get out of the Marine Corps, get down to the GI Bill. I've got 3 little mouths to feed. And I get my degree on the GI Bill. I think I get my degree in June, right? By the time I get the piece of paper, I haven't taken the praxis, nothing. And I'm driving around the county. I'm just putting in substitute teacher applications. I figure I'm going to sub for a year until I can go through the credential program and all that really fun crap that we all had to do to be a teacher. And little old McFarland, the movie with Kevin Costner did not play me in that movie. He's not good looking enough. But anyways, there was a legend out there who I became good friends with. That's who the movie's on. But there's a scene where Kevin Costner walks into the principal's office, and he walks out as the head football coach. And they jokingly say that scene was made after me because I walk in, leave my substitute teacher application. I'm leaving. I'll tell you how long the story was. I get paged on my pager. I pull over, call them back. They're like, hey, we do just a substitute teacher application. Can you turn around? Heck yeah, I can turn around. I need a job. I got 3 little girls at home. I pull in. They asked me if I can teach physics. I'd taken 1 physics class in my life, but I told that principal, I go, I can teach whatever you want me to teach. I'll clean the toilets. I got a family to feed. So now I'm the physics teacher in school starting in about a month. And then he says, hey, on this resume here, it says you play a little high school football. I go, yeah, I play a little high school football. Well, we need a head football coach. I walked out of that interview as the head football coach. An hour ago, I left a substitute teaching application in. So I get home. My wife asked me, did you get the job? I go, I got the job. I'm the head football coach. She goes, you never coached varsity football. I mean, I had coached like youth football, and at my hometown, I coached freshman football. I had never coached JVs. I had never been a position coach on varsity. When I was going through college at my alma mater, I coached like 8th grade and freshman football. And then boom, on that head bar. And I didn't know what I was doing. We lost 72-0. We lost 69-3. We were 2-8. AD called me in and said, hey, I'm going to pay for you to go to some clinics. I didn't even know what a clinic was. And he goes, because you got to fix this, or I can't keep having you as my football coach. This was an awful year. I think we scored like 50 points the whole year. And I think 40 of them were in the last game. So I just at a point where I can share the experiences. And I didn't want to have a bunch of philosophy. I buy all these really great books on culture. And I love the 3D guys on website, the 3-dimensional character stuff. But it's very philosophical, which is very important. And you need that. You got to identify your philosophies. You need a mission statement. You need your core values. But when you're a first-year head coach, honestly, core values are probably not at the forefront of your mind. You're just trying to figure out, how do you get Johnny eligible? How do I get this parent off my back? And my ASB account's negative $50. What am I going to do about it? The worst of first is for that coach. This is not philosophy. I didn't put any philosophy in there. There is one paragraph, one chapter on your core values and your mission statement, your vision statement. I do think that's important, because you can't lead a team if you can't lead yourself. You got to identify with who you are. But this is turnkey stuff that you can take right away. It comes with the PowerPoints. It comes with the Excel sheets, the stuff you need to do your first parent meeting, your rules. Now I get it. You have to change things, but at least it's a template where you can look at it and go, oh, okay. And then you rearrange some things and change the words and slap your logo on it. That's what I want to create, because I was swimming those first 2 years of McFarland. Now the next year we turned around, we went 6-4. And at the time I thought I had my poop together, right? I'm thinking we're 6-4. We made the playoffs. Look at me, highfalutin. I didn't know. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Looking back, I was still an idiot. So that's the worst of first. And I'm really proud of it. And I don't want to leave football known as the pistol wing tee guy that some guys across the country are in my offense. No, this is my passion. This is the road I'm headed now. I want to go into school districts and help young head coaches and of all sports, and really give them the tools to be successful. Somebody told me that, I think it was Chris Four, another good friend of mine through this journey who I've met. I think he said something like, or no, this is actually a teaching thing, that half of the teachers quit within their first 3 years. I would say that's with head coaches. Most of them don't make it. I mean, it's a lot now. You know, the days of when I played where your football coach then was your basketball coach, was then your baseball coach. And when you put the cleats away, you didn't put the cleats back on until next season. Those days are gone now, right? And so, but they're still paying us a 1970s coaching stipend, but they expect you to run a college program. That's what the expectations are. They expect this year-round program, and you're supposed to have a recruiting thing. You're supposed to be doing academics. You're supposed to be doing fundraising. You got to go to 7-on-7s, weight trainings year-round. I was a very dedicated high school player. We didn't lift year-round. I think I was a quarterback. I think I went to 1 7-on-7 my whole life, and I had good coaches. It wasn't a year-round thing then. But they're still paying us the same stipend, but they want you to go year round. So there's burnout, and there's not a lot of people standing in line now, except maybe in states like Georgia and Texas. And coach, you know what I'm talking about. It's not, when you have a wide receiver opening, it's not like 50 guys apply to come be your wide receiver coach. I'm out there beating the bushes, talking to every youth pastor and teacher on campus, like begging them, like, dude, I'll buy you a cheeseburger every week. Can you just come coach my team? Like, I need a wide receiver coach. Well, I can only come out on Tuesday. Okay, you're hired. I'll take you on Tuesday. And so that's what the worst of first is. It's a 3-ring binder, and I call it turnkey, right? I want to help that coach just survive, because oh my gosh, I'm gonna tell you right now, I thought about quitting. I those first 4 or 5 years were brutal. I mean, I did some serious soul searching. Like, do I want to do this? It was rewarding, right? The kids, the locker room. But man, getting home every night at 10 p.m. and giving up your weekends for car washes and youth football, and taking your kids off to camp and not seeing your wife all weekend, that really took a toll. And I tell coaches, Coach Salas, I get called all the time in November. My phone is like ringing off the hook in November, December, where I have to talk coaches off the ledge. Like, they're going to quit. And they're like, Coach, I got your stuff. I really appreciate it, but this ain't for me. This was awful, horrible. This is what happened to me. I got letter reprimand. I got my butt chewed, the newspaper, the social media. And they're like, they're going to quit. And I say, you know what? Every December, I wanted to quit. Even the championship years, you're just like, do I want to do this? And I tell them, I say, you got to unplug. You got to take that 2 weeks off for Christmas break and just stay at home and watch Netflix and pet your dog and hug your wife. And usually I would come back in January with my batteries recharged, but I was dragging tail every December. I can't think of a year where I was like, let's go. But I'm kind of babbling.
Clarify. I got the old version off a championship product. I think, isn't that what it was called?
Yeah.
So I got the old VHS version, and which is excellent. And now you have this version on YouTube on Coachtube that I don't know if anyone else is going to get a copy, but I sure am, because you got me sold. Talk a little bit. I know you got your big clinic coming up, and you go across the country and do camps and install the pistol wing tee. So I think you said over 90 different schools you've been to, but you got your big clinic coming up, your Winging Things clinic. Can you talk about that a little bit? I think it's coming up next week.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Tom Herman and Dave McDonald. They do the National WT Clinic. I've made all but one. I've been privileged enough to speak at it, and I thought they weren't going to have it this year, right, because of COVID. So me and Kenny Simpson, well, let's do an online one. Let's do a big wing T one. I said, well, let's give the single wing guys and some double wing guys, let's give them some love too, and let's throw some option in there, because a lot of us midline guys, myself included, I love the midlining gear. Been running since 2012. So that became this big birth of Wings and Things. And we just started reaching out to guys on Facebook. Like you said, I've been pretty privileged to get to know a lot of guys. So it was easy for me to pick up the phone and get some guys with lots of state titles and guys that do it way better than I do. So we've got 27 speakers. I think we got 28 champion state titles, and I'm really excited. I'm excited that I've got some of my pistol wing tee buddies talking, because right now everybody only gets the pistol wing tee. They only get the Rick Stewart version. And now you can get Jason Gorst, who was a state runner-up in Wisconsin. You got Hansel Phipps, who won 4 state titles running it. He bought my first round of DVDs, and Hansel and I became really good friends through email and Facebook, and we always drink beer together at the National WT Clinic. And so now you're going to hear other people, and same thing with Kenny, right? Kenny's the shotgun wing tee guy right now, but well, we got the GOAT, the OG. Pat Murphy is the one that everybody credits as putting shotgun wing tee on the map. And we've got him speaking. And then we've got Scott Meadows, who won a Tennessee state title, and Adam Matheson. So this is exciting, right? Because I think there's more than one way to skin a cat. And so you're going to hear different versions. This COVID and online and Zoom, it started off as a good thing, right? Everybody could get on the internet and get all this knowledge. I don't think it's a good thing. I really think it's a bad thing. I think coaches are going down some very dangerous paths of taking up too much knowledge, and they're building what I'm jokingly calling a Frankenstein offense and a Frankenstein defense. And they're watching all this free stuff, and there's all this free, and their playbook is growing and growing and growing and growing. And so I said, you know what? Let's get laser focused. Let's just stick to one subject. So I get it. If you're an air raid guy, you're not going to come to this clinic. That's not what it's about. This is the guys that want to run some kind of offense with a wing involved. They can show up and stay focused on things that can help them, their system. And I really preach about, you got to have a system, not a collection of plays. And so that was kind of the vision behind it. And Kenny and I were just on the phone, and we were talking at the same time. But I want to put a shout out. The National Wing T Clinic is going to happen. In fact, there's 2 in-person Wing T clinics. My really good friend, Roger Holmes, is going to do one, I think, end of April. I know it's in April. Look it up, Southeast Wing T Clinic. It's an in-person clinic. It's going to happen in Georgia. And then the National Wing T guys are going to do theirs May 13th and 14th, Mother's Day weekend in Pittsburgh. So there are some, and I know guys have cabin fever, right? Guys are dying to just get out of the house and go drink some beer with their buddies. So the National Wing T Clinic, I'm very happy to announce, is going to happen. But Kenny and I will do this virtual online one. And like I said, Lance Mancuso's won 8 state titles. Ken Krause in Wisconsin hasn't lost a game in 3 years. The legend Jeff Heron, second winningest coach of all time in Georgia. We got a couple of college guys that are running it that we sapped into this, Tony DeMeo and Kelly Lee. And so we're really excited about this thing. And it's starting. Well, I don't know when this podcast can come out. It's going to start Wednesday, January 20th.
This will come out Saturday morning at 8 a.m. So it'll be in time for everyone to see it. So
I will say I'm going to speak for 6 hours because I have so many people asking me, how much has the offense changed since those championship production DVDs? And I really have to tell people, don't buy those videos off Championship Productions. I did not know what I was doing. They're just, I can't recommend them. In fact, I know of multiple coaches that have put 1-star reviews up on those videos because they've emailed me about how disappointed they were, but I don't see the 1-star reviews on their Championship. They must remove the 1-star reviews because I don't see any 1-star reviews, but I've had many coaches contact me about that. Just saying, Rick, why were you doing that? I go, I don't do it. I made the videos and I realized that was stupid. So we changed it. And so, I'm going to talk for 6 hours on the new and improved, right? The Pistol Wing T 2.0, I guess you could call it.
So how do they contact you? How do they get hooked up with this clinic?
They just go to the website. I've got it up right now. They just go to the website, wingt.coachesclinic.com. And it might be kind of small on the podcast up there, wingt.coachesclinic.com. And basically you just go up and hit register and you pick what you want. Kenny and I want to make sure it's affordable. So we've got a free Wednesday night and we've got a ticket for only $25 for coaches that don't have a lot of money or are going through a divorce or their dog's eating all their money, or they just gamble and drink beer too much. So we got a ticket for these guys for $25. And then the guys that are serious, this one's a little expensive. I will say this, we would like to sit here and tell you guys that we can make it for free. This is going to cost Kenny and I thousands of dollars. We're paying the speakers to speak. That's kind of a personal pet peeve of mine. And that I think that guys should be rewarded for their time and not be asked to do things for free. So all these coaches are being compensated for their time. Some of them wanted to volunteer and I said, no, I'm going to pay you. You're going to give up 5 hours with your family and you're going to do presentations and you got your game film. And so I want to make sure that we compensate you. So that's why we got to charge a fee and get it going. There's the lineup. It's pretty impressive. So they just go to the website and sign up. There's no passwords. There's no Zoom links. You just stay on that website. You pay, you log in with your email. And when the talks come, you just double click on the talk you want to hear. And this is a really cool website. Coachtube designed that and got it all working behind the scenes. But that's another thing I like about it. It's not the whole Zoom thing. Where's my Zoom link? Are you going to email me a Zoom link? No, you just log in and double click. Most guys can log in and double click.
All right. And then the National Wing T Clinic, that's always in Pittsburgh?
In Pittsburgh, May 13th and 14th. I got the email today. So I think the website is nationalwingtclinic.com. So
I've never been allowed to go to that one, but I've had, I followed a legend at Hopton who was Al Britt, who was a guru wing T guy. So I've heard stories about going to Pittsburgh, all the wing T guys loading up on a van and going to Pittsburgh for years.
I'll tell you what I like about that clinic. It reminds me of the old days, and I'm not going to criticize Glazier. I love the owner of Glazier. We're good friends. I think those guys do a great job. But clinics today, not just Glazier, Nike, all of them, they've become very commercial and a production. The National Wing T Clinic goes back to my days. You show up and you listen to guys talk all day Friday. Friday night is all the beer, soda, and pizza. Like they have like 12 kegs of, because there's like 800 coaches there. There's like 12 kegs of beer. They must buy, I'm not kidding, there must be 300 to 400 pizzas they bring in. It's all free. And then when you get up on Saturday morning, the hotel makes a breakfast for you, not a continental breakfast with a muffin and orange juice. You go up and tell them how you want your omelet. And I think that's really cool. For $80, I saw it on there. It's $90 now. For $90, right? You get just all of that. And again, it's focused. If you're a wing T guy, now that I saw they've got a triple option room. So if you're a triple option guy, so but it's in person, right? I'll be there. I'm just gonna tell you right now, I'm going. It's Mother's Day weekend, and I'll celebrate. My wife I'll take her out Thursday night or something. But I'm going to that clinic.
Every young guy needs to hear that last sentence. So I wanted to, before we get to the questions, because this is going to be the longest one ever, but it's gold. Before we get to the questions, you said you turned a bunch of them around, but you got fired a couple of times, and you said administration, they thought they knew what they wanted, but they didn't. And then you had, I've had to deal where the assistants on staff there, they kind of pack against you and fight against you. But what do you think causes that, where you go into the interview, you tell them exactly what you're going to do, they're all about it, and then you roll in there, and then they're not wanting to support what they were hearing in the interview? Can you talk about that for just a second?
I think the mistake I made on the ones I got fired from was I didn't do a good enough job interviewing them. I wanted the job so bad. It was a time in my life where I needed that job, or I wanted to change. And so I convinced myself it was the right job. And so I was listening to them talk without really seeing if they could back their talk, right? Walk your talk. You need to very, very deeply. And these young coaches, they want that first head coaching job so bad. And sometimes you got to say no matter how bad you want it. You have to interview the school. You got to go look at the demographics. You need to go talk to other coaches and other sports and see how they've been supported. I'm definitely, guys, do not ever, ever, ever apply or interview for a job without talking to the head coach who's leaving. Make sure you find out why that head coach is leaving, and do the meeting in person, because you need to see his body language in his eyes, because the head coach is leaving might be full of shit, right? And so you've got to be able to have your BS detector on, because he's going to obviously badmouth the previous administration. So I want to look at him in the eye when he's badmouthing him and see if he's sincere. And how does he badmouth them? If he's just making a bunch of excuses, then his opinion doesn't count to me. But if he's kind of being accountable for his own actions and then telling me how the administration didn't support him, I'm going to weigh that in. So those are interview questions now that I'm going to have for them, because at the end of every interview, they're always going to ask you, Coach, you got anything for us? As a matter of fact, I do. And so the biggest things I'm going to tell you right now, and how many new head coaches talk to me and they want the playbook. Coach, I'm going to go for a head coaching interview. I want to buy your pistol wing team playbook. No, you don't. You want to buy the worst of first play, because when you walk in that interview, what I'm going to ask you is, am I in control of the weight room, or is the P department? Who is in charge of buying the equipment in the weight room? And who controls my money? Is it an athletic booster club, or is there a football booster club? Is there an ASB? Is all the money going to ASB, or is there a football account in the ASB? So there's some critical questions I'm going to ask. I could really give a flying crap about where I'm practicing, what my practice field looks like, if I have a sled or not. I can solve those problems after you hire me. But if you're not going to give me control of the weight room and the master schedule and give me control of my money, I can never fix those things. I can fix everything in my football program. The other mistake I made is it's just because I have a big heart. And so I probably keep assistant coaches on longer than they need to. I'm getting a little bit more callous and gruff in my age. And so like in Pennsylvania, we just cleaned house. But I let some guys stay on that I shouldn't have stayed on. And I'll tell you right now, when you're bringing on those new assistants, football knowledge is number 4 on the list. Number 1, they have to love kids. I can teach you a tackling drill. I can teach you how to be an offensive line coach. I can't teach you to love kids. Number 2, you got to have character. If I got a guy walking, he's a womanizer, he's been divorced a couple of times, he's not taking care of his kids. I've got some scuttlebutt in the community that he goes out and drinks on Friday nights. I don't want him, right? You got to love kids, you got to have character, and then you got to be loyal. Everybody else says loyalty is number 1. No, loyalty is number 3, because you know what? If you love kids and number 2, you are high character, the loyalty question doesn't have to get asked, because that's who you are. I don't want to ask the loyalty question and you're loyal, but you're a prick to the kids and you have, and you've got problems. You got skeletons in your closet. The football knowledge, some of the best coaches I've ever hired didn't even play high school football. So those are the two pitfalls I would say to avoid. Quit thinking about your gosh dang X's and O's. That is the last thing you need to think about when you walk into a head coaching interview. I wish every coach in America could hear me say that right now. That's my pet peeve.
When do you hit them with those hard questions? And is it the very first interview? Is it a private one-on-one with the principal? When do you do that?
Pre-interview. Why would you waste everybody's time of showing up to the interview and do your whole dog and pony show? But there are some schools, and that's a red flag to me, where they won't let you come on campus and talk to them. They say, no, you got to wait for the interview. We want to be fair to all the candidates. Oh, I have trouble with that one. I'm not saying I want to interview for that job, but all the turnarounds where I had the support of administration, it was red carpet. I took a sick day and I spent a whole day at that campus a week before the interview, 2 weeks before the interview. I really did my homework. So those hard questions, to me, I'm asking them before the interview. If you don't have that opportunity, you can't walk in there and you got this panel in front of you. And I've interviewed for like 20 head coaching jobs, and you're the pressure, you want the job. When they say, you got any questions for us? I'm sorry, right then you got to ask them the hard questions. I'll tell you what, those hard questions may get you the job, because it's going to tell the panel that you know what the heck you're doing, because you're smart enough to ask those questions. You don't want to sit there and say, nope, no questions. This is my dream job. I really hope I get the job. And if you guys hire me, we'll start tomorrow. Well, I'm not hiring that guy, because he's not coming in. He's coming in naive. Hey, if they're interviewing to do head coach, chances are they fired the previous coach. There's problems. So you should be asking questions, unless you're interviewing for a team that just won the state championship. Now, maybe those questions don't have to be asked. But if it's an 0-10 where the guy got fired, the panel knows there's problems, and that you should be asking those questions.
All right, your question, who controls the weight room? What do you elaborate on that? What do you mean by that?
Well, I can't speak for every state, because some states, like I was telling you before, Coach, some states take their athletics pretty seriously. But in California, the weight room falls under the PE department. And usually what you got 2 females and 2 males who are very overweight and lazy. They don't coach anymore. They're just PE teachers. At 3:30, they leave. They don't coach any sports. And they run the weight room, and they're running the weight room with a bunch of cable pull down machines. They're not, and so if they're in control of the weight room, I won't even interview, because I don't need them buying my equipment, right? I need free weights. I need bars and dumbbells. I don't need lat pull down machines and that bull crap stuff. Also, by controlling the weight room, is your master schedule? Do you have the ability to get all my football players in the same period, the same class? Because if you're going to spread my kids out over 6 periods, that doesn't do me any good. And I will take those jobs. In fact, 3 of my 4 turnarounds, we had to do this. I just said, screw it then. I don't want them in the PE class. I told the principal, can we lift at 6 a.m? Yeah, you can lift at 6 a.m. At McFarland and Corcoran, my first 2 turnarounds, it was volunteer. I just had the kids come in at 6 a.m. It was all volunteer. I didn't get paid. They didn't get a grade. The big job, the one that all the DVDs, I'm on the DVDs about, Porterville, we were able to bring them in. And that principal changed the master schedule, made it a class. I got paid for it, and the kids got a grade for it. And that's what I meant by control of the weight room. If they're going to say, no, it's just part of the PE class, coach, we have weight training throughout the day, they can just sign up for a class. And one period, Mrs. Smith's going to teach it. And next period, Mr. Jones is going to teach it. I'm not even interviewing for that job. I don't care how much it pays. I don't care how bad I want it. If I'm not in the weight room with my players, I cannot turn that program around. Now, let me back up. If I've got a coach on my staff who's like some expert weight training guru and he's on my coaching staff, I would accept that. I would let a guy that I really trust run the weight room for me. I've never had that situation, but I would let a coach run it for me if that was the scenario, because they want me to go do study hall. Like Kenny Simpson, I guess, has some national guru he's really high on that runs his weight room for him. Well, that's different. And I think he's Kenny's defense coordinator or D-line coach. I would take that. But see, now the football's in charge of the weight room, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean by control of the weight room.
Awesome. All right. So we're finally going to get to these 5 questions.
Uh-oh.
And you probably already answered the first one a couple different ways, but just go ahead and give me question number 1 is, can you give me a 1-minute elevator introduction of yourself?
Ex-Marine, GI Bill. I had 3 daughters before I could drink. Still married to the same girl, my high school sweetheart, who I got pregnant my senior year because I was that knucklehead all you football coaches hate. And but somehow that lady stuck through me. I think we're going to be selling 35 years here coming up in June. I got the Marine Corps GI Bill. McFarland, like I told you the story, got hired there. They were on the state's longest losing streak. They were 0-24. We turned around, went to playoffs. I left a little bit, came back. When I was gone, they were 1-19. I came back, got them in the playoffs again. Went up the road to Corcoran. Corcoran has about 800 kids in their school. We had to knock a shower, completely renovate a shower, turn that into our weight room because there was no weight room there, which is why they were 0-27. I had a senior class that never won a game in their life. So that was very rewarding. We got 2 wins their senior year and broke the streak. And they thought we won the Super Bowl with those 2 wins. Went up to a really big school, Porterville, with 1,800 kids. Porterville had never won a game in 100 years. And never won a playoff game. I'm sorry. Never won a playoff game in 100 years. And they'd only won 8 games in the 5 years before I got there. We won 40 games and we were back-to-back section championships. So, and then got to Pennsylvania, which is a very unique story. Take a whole nother podcast. But in Pittsburgh, a guy heard me speak and we really hit it off. Right now we're best friends, and I go out and coach his team every year, and he calls the defense. I call the offense, and it's been very good. I get to coach with my son, but they were awful. They had won a bunch of championships way back in the 60s. They had 14 banners hanging from their thing, but they hadn't won. They hadn't had a winning season in 20 years, and we were 9-1 and then 12-0. And so that's kind of who I am. And now those 3 little girls are beautiful adults. They're in their 30s. They're all college educated. I'm very proud of them. And my son, used to be my ball boy. He's now 21. He hasn't come home yet. He stayed in Pennsylvania. And so when I go out there and coach, I live with him, and I live there July through November. And then I live in sunny California the rest of the time of the year. And I've got 6 little grandkids, and I'm not teaching anymore. I got diagnosed with leukemia a couple years ago. Turns out it's the good leukemia. I don't think I'm going to die from it. I've got diabetes based on steroids. And so I just have to watch my health and quit drinking that Mountain Dew I was drinking earlier. And, but that was kind of a life-changing thing for me. So I left the classroom, and now I do this full time where I just can help coaches and get out there and get my stuff going out there. And yeah, I sell some products because I have a house payment and stuff to pay, but I'm not getting rich. I make enough to I can pay my bills, but I really now have I can devote to myself full time to my motto, right? Coaches helping coaches. That's the all access motto. Coaches helping coaches. Then my personal motto, what I live by, is better today, but never as good as tomorrow.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So put your head coaching cap on.
Uh-oh.
How do you define culture in your program?
Culture, to me, there's 2 layers of culture. There's the culture is what people from the outside see your program. How does your program look like off the field? Are you getting kids busted at parties? Are you getting kids doing drugs? Are your kids sitting in the back of the classroom? Are your kids not making grades? So there's the culture that's happening from an outside perspective on what they see. And then there's the culture that's happening inside your locker room, which is the way your players look, act, and feel. To me, culture is actually a behavior. When they say, what's your culture? Before I get into the textbook definition, right? To me, culture is the way that your players, all the stakeholders, parents, coaches, and players, how do they act in different situations, both on the field and off the field? How do they act in the classroom? How do they act at home? How do they act in adversity? How do they feel about themselves, which is the most important? And then the second most important thing is, how do they feel about their team and their coaches? 3 levels of trust. Can I trust the players? Number 1. Can the players trust me? Number 2. And most important, can the players trust each other? Look, act, and feel, right? So then there's the eternal culture. So to me, there's 2 pockets of culture, but they're definitely they're like a Venn diagram. They're intertwined, right? Because you're not going to have these great kids in the locker room that then the community is going to see as a bunch of knuckleheads, and vice versa. You can't trick them. You can't be a bunch of knuckleheads in the classroom who aren't making grades and they're drinking beer on the weekends, and then you fool the community into thinking you're running this great program, and you're making better sons, husbands, and fathers. They go together, right? So culture is that to me, that's what culture is. And I'm going to tell you right now, coaches, you have culture, whether you like it or not. Culture is going to exist. You're either going to have bad cultureship or you're going to have good culture. You're going to have bad leadership don't ever tell me we don't have any leaders on the team. Everybody has leaders on the team. You either got negative leaders or you got positive leaders. Either you've got what I call finger pointers, right? Where 3 fingers are pointing out and they're always blaming people, or you got thumb pointers and saying, you can count on me, coach. I'll get it done. You can count on me. You can trust me, coach. So if you're going to have culture and leadership anyways, negative or positive, coaches, be proactive and go fix it and get control of it and dictate it and navigate it the direction it needs to go. Because if you ignore it and you keep worrying about your gosh dang playbook and you keep emailing me about your pistol wing tee and not emailing me about your culture and your leadership and their character stuff, you're going to get fired and your playbook isn't going to matter.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Question number 3. What are the 3 best things you do to build culture in your program? And please talk about your camping stuff. That was what hooked me 10 years ago when you were talking about that on that VHS tape.
All right. I'll end with the camping thing. So coaches, the culture cannot happen without leadership. They say football is a dictatorship. No, it's not. I get it. It is, but it's not. The leadership has to come from within your team. And the more leaders you have, the better. If it's a player-centered leadership, your culture is going to be easy to change that culture. If the culture is only coming from you and it's top down, it's never going to work. If you're just giving little speeches at the end of practice, that's going to fall on hollowed airs. It's all about action. So you've got to have a dedicated leadership curriculum. It's in my Words to First binder. I've got lesson plans every other Monday in the spring. We meet with our senior leaders. Now, this is weird because I live in California and they're over there. So I'm kind of doing remotely, and the defense corner, the guy that brings me out there, he kind of runs it. My son runs it for me, but it's my curriculum. But every other Monday in the spring, we sit down and we define leadership. We talk about leadership. We go through leadership lessons, and I can't say I got it from one place. I've kind of borrowed different plants from different places that I like. And you've got to have leadership, because now those leaderships, just like Jesus and his 12 disciples, now you've empowered 12 mini-me's, right? Where they're going out in the community and on campus in the locker room, preaching the gospel, preaching what you want to be preached. Because in the off season, you don't have contact with all your players. You need those leaders, because God help you, right? You're not going to be at the party on Saturday night. You're not in the locker room dressing with them. You're not showering with them. You're not spending the night with them. You're not at the birthday party. You're not at their house playing Xbox or PlayStation, whatever the hell they do. You're not on their TikTok channels. You're not in their Snapchats. You need those leaders. You can't ignore that. That's step 1. Step 2 is you need a character lesson, because if you're going to have good culture, it's not just those 12 leaders or 8 leaders, however many, it depends how your big program is. Your whole team has to be exposed to these character lessons, and you're just not doing your job. It's your obligation. So my character stuff is year round, and it's to my whole team. So I probably have about 23 or 26 character lessons that's year round. The leadership thing's more in the spring. And here's what's really important. God dang it, Johnny, you're a senior. You should know better. How should he know better? 5 days ago, he was a junior. So you've got to empower them, and don't just make it a bunch of theory like I've already been talking about. Empower them. So once I get through the leadership thing, I put my leaders in charge of players on the team. They're in charge of grade checks. They're in charge of the fundraising. They organize the car wash. We do team building in the spring. One Saturday a month, we do paintball or dodgeball or 3-on-3. We do something fun. Go watch a movie. The seniors have to organize all that for me. They go fill out the paperwork. They put it out on social media. They do the flyers. They collect the money. They decide how much they go rent the bowling alley. empower your leaders. And then during the season, it's easy, right? This senior leader's in charge of field cleanup. This senior leader's in charge of locker room. This senior leader's in charge of whatever, right? I have to put them in charge of things so that they can do the theory that I taught them on Monday nights, put it in practice. Okay. And then number 3 is the team building, where Coach is alluding to. At a lot of personal sacrifice, spending a lot of my fundraising money. We are very committed to taking our boys on overnight trips. And we always do one in May. It's got to be a really fun trip, because that's the carrot I dangle. They have to have done so many things in the spring: GPA, hours in the weight room, certain fundraising requirements. We have this, I don't know what you call it, a point criteria system. And then they're allowed to get on the bus and go on this trip. I had a coach email me one time. He says, "Coach, we just got back from a May trip and it was awful. It backfired. The boys were miserable. They wanted to go home." And I go, "Where'd you take them?" "Well, the Marine Corps was doing this thing where we could go and they simulated boot camp. And so we went through like 2-day simulation." Well, that's not fun. So you took your kids and made them do push-ups and pull-ups for 2 days and get yelled at by Marines? That's not fun. You need to have fun. And coaches, gosh dang it, get the stinking playbook out of your head. This fun trip cannot be football. Don't take them to a football camp, because now the message is, Johnny, you're more important to me as a player, not a person. Find some KOA campground, find a river. You'd be shocked how many of your kids haven't fished, right? Take some fishing poles and take them somewhere. But here's the key: wherever you take them, there has to be the ability to have a campfire late at night, quiet, right? Cell phones off. You don't want to have the campfire next to a freeway. You don't want to have the campfire in the back of somebody's backyard. It's got to be off quiet. And in May, we really just go through a whole set of goal setting. It's really about goal setting. And so the first night of the campfire, the coaches model and mimic. And then the next night, the kids get up. And the coaches always have to go first, because you just tell the kids stand in front of the campfire, he don't know what the hell to do. Then we do another fun one in June, but we're blessed in California. It's easy to get to the Pacific Ocean. And so that one is a 7-on-7. I always try to find a school on the beach that's doing some sort of 7-on-7. And so we go over there, we throw the ball a little bit, but then we make sure we camp for 2 nights near the ocean. And of course, on Sunday, we take them out. We call it boogie boarding out here. It's for kids that can't surf. And we just let them go splash in the ocean. You'd be shocked. I live 2 hours from the ocean, and you'd be shocked how many kids on my team have never been to the beach. They just don't have the money to even drive over there. So we always do that fun one to the beach. And the campfire is just, we just revisit the May campfire, because it's only a month later, and we revisit where are you at with those goals. And I'm not afraid to call a kid up in front of the campfire and call him on carpet and say, "Gosh dang it, Johnny, in May, you lied to us. You said you were going to do this, this, and this, and this. And instead you've done that, and that. What the heck is going on? You'll every quiet, Johnny's going to apologize." And I call him on the carpet right then and there. Then in August, this is the powerful one. In August, we close August camp with Your Why Has to Make You Cry. So in the old days of 2 days, and you'd have 2 weeks of before the Pacification of America, and you actually could have Hell Week, and you could have football practice, and you weren't doing acclimation, and your AD wasn't out there all the time bubble wrapping all the kids. Hell Week was hard. So Hell Week would get done. Saturday morning, we'd have an inter squad scrimmage, green versus orange, whatever the school colors are. We're black and orange now. And do a quick, fun inter squad scrimmage Saturday morning. And then you have the school vans, couple parents, you get them all up to the campground. The parents are already up ahead of them. And we get up to that campground. And the whole mission is I'm going to get them around the campfire that night. This is only a 1-night trip, because it's Saturday. I want to get them home Sunday morning. And I say, "Why'd you do it?" Well, some of you guys started in January, 6 a.m. weight training. Summer, you gave up your summer while your friends were at the beach. August, 2 days, sweating, you puked. Johnny, Johnny puked. And why did you do it? And it's only 10 games. There are way funner things to do. Why'd you do it? And they always say, "To win a championship, coach, because we're dedicated. This is our year, coach, because we're going to get a ring." You got to start peeling the onion off, start peeling the layers back, because that's not really the reason they do it. Sorry, start asking very pointed questions. So you're going to tell me that if you knew for a fact we go 0-10, you wouldn't play this year? Well, that can't be true, because last year we were 2-8 and you all came back. So what they don't know is about a month before, I bought the cheapest t-shirts I could find with our school logo on it, one color. And coaches, go cheap on this. I'll tell you why in a minute. and I find some parent, that one booster mom, the busy bee, the lady just can't wait to help. I say, listen, get this shirt to the person in these kids' lives who loves them. It might be a grandmother, it might be a foster mother, hopefully it's their biological mother. And I need everybody who loves the kid to sign it. I give the mom about a month's notice. And her job is to get them out there, get them signed with Sharpies, and bring them back to me. And then they put them in shoe boxes with the jersey number on it, and they go hide them at this campground about an hour before we get up there. Now, I just pictured just some little, but man, these parents, they were UPSing it to Mexico and to New York City and getting and taken to the mall and having these murals put on. These things were like works of art. And so then we get the whole, why do you do it? And the coaches talk about, every coach gives their Hell Week story. And let me back up. A campfire will not, none of these stories I'm going to tell you right now work if your coaches are going to tell jokes. This is not comedy hour. This needs to be serious. And I tell my coaches that. Do not make these boys laugh. And every coach gives their Hell Week story. Some are college stories, some are high school stories, and what made them get through it. Well, we'd make my dad proud, make my mom proud, because my teammate next to me, we've been playing since second grade. I'm the fourth generation, like, or some of them just say, Coach, because I just freaking love football. I just love hitting people. This is my family. That's cool. But your why has to make you cry. And I tell them, what does that mean? Simon next book, right? Your why has to make you cry. If I took it away from you, you would cry. I'm not talking about football. Your why. Well, Coach, I played for my mother. Well, obviously, if I took your mother away, you'd cry. If you lost your teammate, the one you're playing for, yep, I'd cry, Coach. So, and the kid that says, well, I just love to play football. I just love to hit people. And this little thing popped up. I don't know what the heck I just did. Anyways, that kid, if I took football away, he'd cry, because football is his family, right? He's got a broken home. We all have those kids on our team. Then I tell him, okay, guys, stop there. We got a present for you. Go out. It's like the old snipe hunting, right? Remember in third grade, your parents sent you out and go find snipes. So we send our kids out with flashlights, and they go find their shoe boxes, and nobody can go back campfire until everybody gets their shirt. Then they open the shoe box, Niagara Falls. They're bawling. Now, the returning players, it's not as emotional because they've already done it before. But the kids that it's their first campfire, they're bawling. And they're reading these logos, and they got their flashlights. And then I tell them, every Friday night, wear that T-shirt under your shoulder pads, because you're going to remind yourself the real reason we do this. Don't get mad at the referees. Don't look at the scoreboard, because that's not really why we do it. You've got to always, and then that's the life lesson, right? So then the last thing we do at the end of the season, this is just for legacy for the underclassmen. We do this candle ceremony where every senior, we give them a candle. I'm going to kind of abbreviate this because of time. And basically each senior gives a spiel, greatest memory, greatest regret, advice for the underclassmen. And then they give their candle to an underclassman. And then the underclassman has to keep that candle the whole year. So they come back their senior year, and then they give the candle. And then the idea is the candle has been passed around 4 or 5 generations. And it's the way that you keep the seniors' memories alive in your program with fire. Fire is very symbolic in our society. And also the underclassmen understand that you're playing for something bigger than yourselves. That's another important message that you have to intertwine the entire year, that this is not just a football game. The community, your family, the school, the teachers, you represent something. Baseball and basketball, those other sports don't pull it off like football does. You have to understand that you're bigger than something than yourselves. Because if the kid doesn't get a positive thing, everybody wants to be part of something bigger than themselves. And unfortunately, some kids join gangs, and they will murder for those gangs. Most of us, it's our family, right? Everybody seeks for that loving family, because family is bigger than the individual. Church is bigger than the members, and so that's what kind of football represents, and getting that selfish gene out. And God put a selfish gene in all of us, right? It's just an inherent biological thing that God put in us, right? You're going to survive. You're going to make sure that you don't die, that you're going to eat, that you're going to stay warm. So it's this inherent genetic, biological, selfish gene that's inside of us. And the goal, and what championship teams achieve, is they have figured out how to get the selfish gene out of all their players, where the players really do put others ahead of themselves. And if you accomplish that, coaches, now you've done it, right? Now they're going to go off in the world as better sons, husbands, and fathers because they understand how to put other people ahead of their own needs. And I'll kind of quit babbling there, but that's the key.
Pure gold.
Leadership, character, and then the team building.
Pure gold. Pure gold. That's absolutely fantastic. It was better than I remembered it from 10 years ago when you told that story.
Well, it's better now on the courses I'm making, where I really can go in depth and I go through script the campfires and what you say. And I give you about 5 different ideas to do in the campfires. I don't always do the same thing in campfire. It changes from year to year. The t-shirt thing never changes though. That's been pretty powerful for us.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. All right. Question number 4. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you first got started?
Run a player-centered program, not an X's and O's. Now I keep criticizing the coaches. For 10 years, I was that guy. I had the playbook and I spent my whole off season for plays. And every clinic I went to the X's and O's talks. I didn't want to go to any head coaching talks or culture talks, or those were boring. I wanted to do plays. And I've had Frankenstein offenses where I said, you know what, that's a really good play in that offense. Let me put it in here. And I was picking the best play from every offense and trying to make it my offense. And we sucked. And so where we really started turning the corner, those first 2 turnarounds, I was not a player-centered coach. We basically turned it around because the losing was so bad. The players would basically just do anything I told them to not lose. And so I basically just outworked everyone on my schedule and we beat them. But coach, both of the first 2 turnarounds, we got bounced first round playoffs. I didn't win a playoff game until my 3rd turnaround. The reason was we could outwork everybody on our schedule and just kind of get through the season because we just outworked everybody with the weight room and stuff. And we practiced harder than everybody. And I outworked them with film study. But when we played another team who worked hard, they beat us because they had culture and they had team and they were selfless and we were still selfish, including myself. I was coaching for my own personal ego. It was Friday nights was rewarding for me to call plays, and it was rewarding for me to win games. And I enjoyed the off season in the clinics. I wasn't coaching for the kids. And it wasn't until I get to that 3rd school that I really started figuring this out. And that's where the magic started happening. That's when we really started. John Wooden's right. Then the winning just becomes the byproduct. So I would say definitely, if I had to do it all over again, really making my program a player-centered program where all decisions I make are about the benefit of the player and love the kid, not the jersey he's wearing. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm telling you, coaches, for 10 years, I was the opposite of what I'm saying right now. And we didn't do those camping trips early in my career. I didn't start doing the camping trips till my 3rd head coaching job because I didn't get it. I would have taken them to a football camp before I took them camping. I would have spent my fundraising money on a sled before I spent it on some stupid t-shirt that they wore under their shoulder pads. That you asked me that in my first 10 years of my head coach, my first head coaching job, I was 28 years old. I would have told you that was gay. That was stupid. That's what girls do. We're not going to sit around the campfire and sing Kumbaya. What are we going to do next? Make out? That's how I would have talked. And I was an idiot. I was just a flat out idiot. And I feel bad for those kids. Those kids I coached my first, let's see, 5 and those first 7 years. I wish they could have experienced what I'm doing now.
That's awesome, Coach. All right. Number 5. What's your contact? I know you're on Twitter. What's your contact information?
Coach Rick Stewart, but it's with a K. Somebody stole my name. So there's some violin player out there. So it's Coach Rick, but it's R-I-K, Coach Rick Stewart with a K. And I'm all over Facebook. I've got a Pistol Wing Tee Facebook group. I've got a Worst of First Facebook group I just started about 2 weeks ago. So that's growing. That's the one I'm really putting a lot of energy into. I have an Instagram that my wife set up. I don't even know how to get on it, but I know there's Instagram stuff out there. But I really like Twitter. And then I like these Facebook groups. I don't like the other stuff that's going on Facebook. Facebook's not what it used to be. And I think we're going to see some radical changes this year with social media, with all this crap that's going around in the climate. For those of you guys, this is evergreen. So you might be hearing this 2 or 3 years from now. I'm being interviewed. It was right after Trump got knocked out. And as Coach and I are sitting here doing this interview, so you guys know what time period we're doing this interview, Trump's being impeached tomorrow. So it's a really ugly time. We're coming off of COVID. So some of you guys are chuckling and you're remembering this because Coach Wright, they could hear this 3 years, 4 years from now.
Yeah.
But I do like the Facebook groups. I think that's a really cool thing. I like getting in those groups. I posted, somebody posted, what's the best defense to stop the wing T? There's like 68 comments on there. We're going back and forth, and there's some really good ideals in there. There's some really dumb ideals, but I'm learning, right? I really like those I think those Facebook groups are really cool, and there's some really good dialogue. And when some guys, if they really are profound and I can tell that they know what they're talking about, I'll click on the profile. And if they've coached high school ball, I'll start private messaging them. So that Facebook group, I would highly recommend that. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you get on Facebook and can't find me, you're Stevie Wonder. You're blind, because I'm all over Facebook.
All right, and then give us your the wing and things. Give us that contact information one more time. Let's plug it one more time.
Wing T, no hyphen, just wing T .coachesclinic.com. The first Wednesday's free, so hurry on over there. And me and Kenny Simpson's going to do pistol wing T versus shotgun wing T. We're going to do like a chalk war of which one's better, shotgun or pistol.
Well, Coach, you were absolutely fantastic. Better than I remembered from that VHS tech years ago. And I sure do appreciate you doing this, brother.
I'm curious how long we rambled. Man, I can get going, huh?
It's pushing close to 2 hours probably, but we'll
because you asked me about the Worcester Furs, man. That's my passion.
That's what I love. That had such an impact on me back when it came out. So it's awesome getting to meet you and talk to you and hear your ideas. And you just helped a lot of people. And we're going to push your clinic hard, and hopefully you're going to have a packed house for that thing too. Thanks
for having me on. Guys, find me on social media. I forgot also, I got my website, allaccesscoaching.com. Just all together, allaccesscoaching.com. I'm really proud of it. I've got about 10 grand in that website. I wanted to build something that could really help coaches. So make sure you stumble over that website. And I've got about 500 videos on there and about 1,000 blog articles. I really wanted to build something where I could help coaches. So, hey, thanks for having me on. It's 2 hours. Let's hang up.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, bye.